This is CC Confidential, a selection of bonus clips from our podcast recording. Josh Lekach, host of Wrong Opinion, tells us the story of Sadwater, his bottled water company, and why Coca-Cola has a problem capturing the Gen Z market. Also, listen in to find out what Gavin McInnes said about his pilot episode and how that led to the popularity of his podcast today. I love your show. Ani actually told me about it. It kind of felt like you appeared out of nowhere. There's not that much about you on the internet, but I guess you've had a few ventures behind you. Maybe you could start by telling us about that?
Around 2017, I raised about $500,000 to make an influencer marketing app, which still exists. I'm not a part of it anymore. It's called Rep. I was the co-founder and CEO of that. I don't know how good of a CEO I was, but we built a pretty impressive platform with not so much money. I didn't take a salary or anything. Once I was done with that whole thing, I was doing a lot of mushrooms at the time, and I came up with an idea called Sadwater. I just thought it was funny that there should be like a water company called Sadwater, and they cried for your sins, and it's it's really weird and bizarre. I kept on saying that name, so I figured, I'll just check if the website's available, and it's like a really good domain, and if the domain is available, then that's a sign that I should do this. So it was, surprisingly. I still own it. I found private label companies to make me water, and I didn't take into consideration that shipping bottled water is very expensive. But I figured I'll make a meme account called Sadwater to push it. I don't know who's going to be attracted to this. I'm a millennial. Maybe millennials will. But Gen Z started coming on board and following because of the memes. I started to notice that they're not really for censorship. They don't like being told what to think. So I made the memes edgier and edgier. Look, when I was running Rep, I had to censor myself. I was barely on Twitter. I gained a lot of followers on Twitter because I was periscoping a lot during the 2015-16 election. And then I figured, okay, I'm running a company. I raised a lot of money. I can't be putting my opinions out there. I'll just log off Twitter for a little bit. I'm not going to post anything edgy. And then I felt like I had all these pent up wrong thoughts. So I started flooding the Sadwater thing with that. And the account grew. I gained the attention from Coca-Cola. They said I should join their incubation program.
When you said it grew, how big was the audience at the time before you caught Coca-Cola's attention?
By the time I got their attention, I reached like 40,000 followers on Instagram. When you look at who was following me, it was the demographic that they want to capture. I guarantee you Coca-Cola is going to have a major problem trying to appeal to Gen Z because they're still going to be using the tactics they use for millennials, which is you're special, your opinion matters, and it's almost like they're coddling millennials. And I know this for a fact that Coca-Cola is interested in all these new companies and scooping up all these new drinks because no one is buying Coca-Cola anymore. They're not growing. They've hit a plateau. They're almost from another time. We're living in a time where people consume what best represents their personality. It's almost like they only can have a personality based off of what brands they buy. So they know that. And that being said, the deal never really went through. I thought it was. And it never really went through with Coca-Cola because they're still stuck on that mindset of political correctness, woke capitalism, and all that, which is going to bite them in the ass. And it will. They're going to have a hard time appealing to Gen Z. When I was doing the deal with Coca-Cola, I started to do the podcast, the Sadwater Sadcast. And it was mainly just answering questions because I was getting inundated with DMs like, how do I talk to a girl? Like all these things because it's such a young audience. So I figured, I'll just do this podcast where they can hear my voice. There's more of a connection and so on. I did that podcast for 2 years before changing it to Wrong Opinion. And then where I added the vidcast thing and all that. And yes, the whole thing went way more political than I ever intended it to. But that's just who I am. Which, the height of the followers I reached was like 112,000, but now it's dropped to 79,000 because the content is completely different. It's all Wrong Opinion based. But like I was telling you guys before, I was very afraid back in May to switch to Patreon because I was growing a little bit, but I had a pretty good following on the free version of the podcast. And it's scary to move to a whole platform where you're asking people to pay you now. And I figured I'm going to embarrass myself. I'm going to get 5 subscribers. I mean, I look at big Twitter accounts that they have a Patreon too, and I'm looking at their numbers, and it's not very encouraging. So I'm now at 225 subscribers 2.5 months in or something, and it's exceeded my expectations. So I'm pretty stoked.
So you wanted to transition Sadcast into Wrong Opinion, but I don't think a lot of people realize that you actually positioned Wrong Opinion as a pilot for Gavin McInnes' channel, right?
Yeah, so that was my plan, was to piggyback off his fame. And I'm friends with his producer Ryan. I flew out to New York in November to do his little segment, Ryan's Mailbag, just so I can have the chance to appear on their network, so he has a chance to see me. They've used my tweets on their show a million times. Whenever they pull up one of my tweets, I'm like, you know who I am, Gavin. Just say my name. And he never does, but that's okay. I went out to New York on my own dime in November just to record something quickly with Ryan. That went over horribly. And then I sent them my deck. I made a pitch deck, and Gavin's like, yeah, make a pilot. I made one pilot before Christmas, and it was horrible because my friend Mike, who designed this t-shirt, he was MIA, and I was counting on him to edit it and add all the graphics. So I had to do it myself, and I had no clue what I was doing. And I didn't have any instruction from Gavin as to what he wanted. So I just made something. And also in the beginning of it, I spent some time, like how I'm introducing myself to you guys. I spent some time introducing myself. And he goes, no one gives a fuck who you are. Like he sent me a scathing email. But it was really constructive too, because if he ended the email saying, if you do the show like this, like this, like this, then maybe you would be interested. So I was really bummed out for a day. And then the next day I pulled myself up and I said, okay, I'm going to do the pilot he wanted. Mike, my friend Mike, reappeared. He edited it. It was really well done, I think. I filmed it in my living room, but I put a green screen behind me. I had lights and everything. I made a good 30-minute pilot. Gavin replied to me very short saying, I like it. I'm going to talk to the guys. Coronavirus happened. I never heard from him again. And then I figured, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just do it on my own. I'm not going to go chase him. It's like when you're trying to court a girl. If she shows interest, like, then she does. But if she ignores your second text, you're not going to text her again. I wasn't going to chase him. I have a little bit of pride. So I'm not going to, and no hard feelings also. I'm still subscribed to Gavin's network. I still like his show. I've seen who he's picked up recently, and I'm kind of glad I'm not a part of their it all worked out, so.